How's everybody doing? You guys good? I wish I was. Oh, I was going to curse. I'm not going to curse. No cursing. I wish I was young. I'm so jealous of all of you. Can you turn down the light? Can you turn up the house lights a bit so I can see these handsome, beautiful faces of all these young people? Right, there you are. What a good-looking crowd. Republicans, it figures. Nah, let me keep it clean. Is everyone doing good? You guys are great? All right. So I want to save a lot of time here for Q&A because I want to answer all your questions, right? As many as you can fit in, and nothing is off limits. You can ask me anything. But let me just spend a little bit of time telling you a couple of things here that I think will really help you. You guys are all pretty much in college, right? Raise your hand if you're in college. Wow. Who's just out of college? Anyone just graduated? A few people. Who's still in high school? Oh my God. I'm so jealous. People always ask me, I'm going to be honest, right? People ask me this question, like, if you could do things over again, like, would you change anything? Right? It's a good question, right? And my gut answer, the quick answer is like, no, I wouldn't change a thing. And the reason is not that I don't regret, because listen, there's many things I did that I regret and that I'm remorseful about. I wish they wouldn't have happened, because I'd be lying if I didn't say it. I'd be crazy if I didn't. I'd be a psychopath, right? So, of course, there's things I did that I regret. Anything that I did that hurt someone else, people lost money, of course I regret all that, right? But you can't, I think, to look back at your own life and to start saying, don't want to do this, I should. I am where I am right now because of all that. The good, the bad, we all make decisions. You guys have already made decisions that were great decisions, some that weren't so great, and they all got you to exactly where you are right now. In this moment, you are the sum of all decisions, everything that's happened to you, right? So to me, to go back in my life and say, I wish I wouldn't have done that many drugs, or I wouldn't have recommended that stock, I think it's not really an empowering way to live. So I think a much better way to live is to say, well, I look back on my life with perspective. I know the things I wished that I wouldn't have happened, but I learned from them. The idea is to learn from the mistakes. I think the most empowering thing I ever said to my own kids, I have 2 kids now, they're in their 20s, right? My son was wild like I was, right? So he's always, making mistakes, right? And I used to say to him, like, listen, you're not the mistakes of your past. You're the resources and the capabilities that you glean from your past. Now, every time you screw up, it makes you stronger. You learn from it. You grow from that. The past only equals the future if you choose to live there. That's your choice. So if you learn from your mistakes, then that's living an empowered life. Otherwise, you keep repeating the same things again and again, and you don't get anywhere, right? So the truth is, though, if I look back at my life, obviously there are some things. Can you keep the house lights? Because I can't see anybody when the house lights are down. And I love to see everyone's faces. All right? So you can turn the house lights back up, please. So if I can see everyone, it'd be much easier. Thank you. It's much easier for me, right? So if I could change things, let me go back here to the beginning. I want to very quickly tell you guys the story of my life, how it all got started, the real version, right? I'll give you the 15, 20-minute version here with some lessons along the way. Then I want to open up to Q&A, right? So here's the deal. I was basically one of those born entrepreneurs from the time I emerged my mother's womb. At the age of 8, I had a paper route, and I was knocking on doors to expand it. And I literally grown the paper route so quickly by knocking on doors that when I was 10 years old, my mother forced me to sell the route to someone else because she was scared I was going to become like a door-to-door salesman. She was right, by the way, right? So she forced me to sell the route, and I retired at the age of 10, $75 in my pocket, right? My retirement didn't last long, right? At the age of 10, I started shoveling driveways after snowstorms. Now, this is back before Al Gore invented global warming, right? It used to snow a lot more back then, right? And we had these crazy snowstorms in New York, right? Now, I did not grow up rich. I grew up poor. I did not grow up with money. Lower middle class, right? But the rich people lived like about a mile away. So I went out and bought a shovel, got dressed warm, went to these big houses. I lived in an apartment building, right? Knock on people's doors, $20, shovel their driveway. I did that. Made a lot of money for 2 years. Then it didn't snow. Out of a job again. I'm 13 years old. I'm watching TV. And David Copperfield The magician pops on TV, and he's making the Statue of Liberty disappear. I couldn't believe it. I'm like, I want to be a magician. So what did I do? I put an ad in the paper, and this is the penny saver, the amazing Belfort, $25 children's parties. I didn't know how to do magic yet, by the way. The phone starts ringing off the hook. All right, I panic. I tell my father. He takes me into the city. He buys me a few tricks. I actually did these shows when I was 13 to 16 years old. I did all these magic shows. I made a lot of money, right? And then at the age of 16, I hit it big for the first time. Anyone from New York here? Any New Yorkers in the house here? A few, right? Okay, so there's a beach in New York called Jones Beach, which is a massive beach. On a hot summer sunny day, there'll be 1 million people on this beach, right? And I was down by the shoreline, right? Very hot, and everyone's bitching and moaning because it's a long walk to the concession stand. So I come up with this idea. I said, what if I went out and bought one of these like styrofoam coolers, loaded it up with like dry ice and chipwiches, fudgicles, Italian scoop ices. I did that. I found a distributor the next morning. I go to the beach with a cooler, right? The full cooler cost me $22. I sell it out in 1 hour for $130. I make over $100. Now, by the way, guys, this is 1978. It's like $300 an hour. Okay, none of you were born back then, right? There was no internet, nothing, right? What did I do the next day? I went out and bought 4 coolers, right? I went back the next day with 4 coolers and sold all those out. I made my first summer in the 70s $27,000. My first summer in 2 months. It was more than my parents made, more than anyone in my neighbor, right? Next year I go back and I have 4 kids, 12-year-olds, following me with puka shell necklaces I bought for 50 cents a pop. I had them selling them for $4. I gave the kids 50 cents per. I kept 3. I made $65,000 my second year. Then I had my mother the next year buttering bagels in the mornings. Like I'd go there early because people didn't buy ice cream until like 11. So I started going at 9 and selling bagels from 9 to 11. So I did all this. I used that money and I put myself through college. So I was able to go to college with no student loans, living a good life. I graduate, and then I had one misstep on the road to entrepreneurial success, and that was, believe it or not, I spent 1 day in dental school. You can imagine this, right? Anyway, my mother, since I was yay big, my mother wanted me to be a doctor, so listen, doctor, dentist, right? So like I didn't know if you would have asked me at the age like you guys, someone says, what do you want to do for a living? I got the answer. I want to be rich for a living. That's what I wanted. Who knows what they want to do at the age of 18, 20? No one knows. Right? I mean, a few kids maybe, right? I had no idea, but I knew I wanted to be rich. I wanted a lot of money. So I figured, well, listen, doctors, that's 8 more years. I'll kill myself. I can't wait 8 years, right? Dentist will be 4 years more. I'll get my degree. I'll still be Dr. Belfort. My mother will be happy. And my mother was like drilling this into me since I was like in the high chair. As she's spoon feeding me applesauce, she's like, you have to be a doctor. It's like freaking hypnosis, a doctor, right? It's brainwashing, right? So I apply, I get into dental school, all right? I'm 21 years old. I walk in the first day, Baltimore College of Dental Surgery, right? I walk into this auditorium. There's like 100 kids around my age, and they look around. They look pretty bright-eyed and bushed up. I'm like, fair enough, so far so good. The dean stands up. He's got this white jacket on, white hair, very dental looking. He gets up and he's like, all right, welcome to the Baltimore College of Dental Surgery. You should be proud to be here. Dentistry is a wonderful profession. And everyone goes, give yourself a round of applause. Everyone says, yay, and we started clapping, right? He goes, but let me say this. The golden age of dentistry is over. If you're here to make a lot of money, you're probably in the wrong place. I'm like, what the fuck? I said, what the hell? And I get up, and I say, screw it, and I walked out. And I literally walked out right in the middle of orientation. You should have seen the looks on the other kids' faces, by the way, right? And I dropped out. So for about 2 or 3 months, I was like in Maryland, right? And I had to break the news to my mother's like, how's school? I'm like, oh, it's great, Mom. Finally, I ran out of money. I answer a blind ad in the paper, which is for sales. I have to come back home and break the news to my parents that I'm going to be a salesperson. Long story short, I ended up having this knack for sales, all right? And my first day on the job, I shattered the company record. The first month, I just torched the place. I mean, I was like outperforming everyone there. So I opened up my own business, my first real business, and within 1 year, I built it into 26 trucks. I was making a ton of money, I thought, but actually I was making every mistake that a young entrepreneur can make. I was overexpanding, I was undercapitalized, I was growing on credit, and before I knew it, I was out of business. Lost everything, went bankrupt at the age of 23. So what do you do when you're 23 years old, you're living in New York, you want to be rich? Where do you go? Wall Street. That was the answer, right? I go down to Wall Street. I literally have to sell myself a job. My resume is not looking that good. I'm a dental school dropout who just declared bankruptcy, right? Hire me, right? So I have to sell myself a job, right? So I go to this interview with the head of this big firm. It's a big firm called L.F. Rothschild, right? And I start like pitching the guy a stock. Like I didn't even know what I was saying. I started like trying to sell the guy that I knew how to sell a stock right there. He goes like, whoa, calm down. He's like, I never heard anything like this before. He goes, listen, either one of two things are going to happen to you. Either you're going to be the most famous broker in Wall Street history, or you're going to end up in jail. Well, the guy was a genius. He was right on both accounts, right? And the guy hires me, all right? And I spend 6 months training to be a stockbroker. And finally, my first day as a broker, I go to work, I'm ready to take on the world, Black Monday, the day of the crash. And I watch in shock and awe as the market goes down 508 points in a single day. And just like that, the firm that's been in business for 100 years shuts down, I'm out of a job. Just my first day. I'll never forget that feeling. And just so you know, guys, I want to just slow this down for a second and just say a couple of lessons here along the way. Number one, right, you're going to have these situations in life all the time. If you want to be, who wants to be successful? Raise your hand, really. Who wants to make a lot of money? Say yes. Who wants to really make money? Say yes. All right, I got news for you. It's not going to be a straight line to the top. Listen, getting rich is easy. It's easy, but when I say easy, I mean it requires a massive amount of hard work. But if you truly want it, if you truly want to be rich, there's no better place than the United States of America than to get rich. And I've traveled the world. Which, by the way, is the reason why that when Dan asked me to come here, I jumped at the chance. Far less money than I get paid anywhere, because I think that what Dan does is important. Because our country, I didn't want to get into this whole political thing here, but you guys are you need to protect this country. This country's under attack. People are trying to change the fabric of the American dream. It's under attack. And I'm telling you guys, I've been all over the world, and there's nothing like the United States of America. Nothing. There's no close second. There's no other country where any individual who wants to be successful, any person here, regardless of your race, creed, color, socioeconomic background, educational status, it doesn't matter who you are, where you're from. If you want to get rich, it's up to you. You can get rich. There's only one person stopping. You know who that is? Yourself. That's it. And there's a formula. There's actually a formula for getting rich. There's a proven way that you get rich. So you want me to tell you what it is? It's very simple, actually. I'm not going to hand you a business and say, go into this business. That's not it. I'm going to tell you the truth about getting rich. It's very simple. It requires 8 things. That's it. There's 8 things you need to do to get rich. And I'll tell you exactly what they are. Never forget these, because you're going to watch them play out. And if you start to notice, you'll see in your own life how they already started playing out. In everything you do, in your personal relationships, boys meeting girls, whatever it might be, girls meeting whatever, in sports, in school, these 8 things always come together to achieve success at anything. So let me tell you how this works here, because once you know it, you're like 95% of the way there. Then it's just about really, really hard work and a little bit of luck. Luck is how long it takes you to get what you want, but you will get there if you subscribe to this philosophy. So here's the way it goes. We live in a world of duality. There's two sides to every coin. If there's up, then there's what? Down. If there's start, there's stop. Yes? No. Even the digital world that we all live in is what? 1 and 0. There's always two sides to everything. That's the way the universe works. So let me ask you this. Why would it be any different when it comes to making money? It can't be. It has to have, there's got to be this sort of a yin-yang to the same thing. Getting rich, making money, achieving, just achieving. Call it achievement, if not money. To achievement. There's two sides. And I'll tell you exactly what they are. When it comes to making money, achieving goals, success, getting the life that you want and deserve, by the way, because I believe everyone deserves it, to live the life they want, if you want to put the work in, right? Two sides to this. What you have on one side, that's why this little board up here, so I can just quickly show you. You have what's called the inner game or the inner world of success. And what that represents is everything that happens up here between your ears before you ever go out into the world and take action to try to achieve or accomplish anything. The inner world of success. In this inner world, there's 4 things. There's only 4 skills, 4 distinctions that you need to have. And they're all easy to learn, by the way. Some you'll find easier than others, but they're all learnable. There's not one person here that can't master all 4 of these things. And on the flip side, you have what's called the outer world of success. The outer game or outer world. And once again, you have 1, 2, 3, 4 things here. Usually I would take literally a day to do the whole event, right? So let me just very quickly highlight them. And I'll also, I'll give you a link to a website, all free stuff. You don't have to pay for anything. All free information. You can learn as much as you want. It won't cost you a penny. All the information is for free. Okay? So here's the way this works. Number 1, the first thing you must learn how to do to succeed in life is manage your emotional state of mind. Your state, how you feel in the moment. There are certain states that every one of you have been dealing with your whole life. There's certainty, confidence, courage, clarity. And the opposite, uncertainty, fear, greed, worry, overwhelm. You need to learn not how to walk around all day long feeling certain. I'm not saying I want you to walk around with your chest puffed out and your shoulders pulled back, walking certain. Or that's, what do you call someone who walks around all day long being certain? An asshole, right? I'm not saying that. That's not what I mean. I'm talking about it's certain key moments in life when it matters most to get yourself in an empowered state. You have to learn this skill. Some of you spend a lot of your life, it's just human nature, in disempowered states, focusing on fear, worry, uncertainty. And that is a choice. That's a personal choice you make. You can actually, in the key moments, not always, in the key moments, you can teach and train yourself. And you'll do this as you grow and learn more how to get yourself in this positive states where you bring out the best of who you are. When you're in an empowered state, guys, is gender new fucking gender, whatever, all right? This is the right crowd here, right? Point is, okay, is that when you're in the right state of mind, you can use all your resources. You can use all the skills you have. When you're in a disempowered state, you could be the greatest at sales, the smartest person, but in that day, you can't bring it to the table. You're blocked. So as a success-oriented person, and you're all going to be adults real soon, right? If not already, you must learn how to manage your state. That's number 1. Number 2, the second thing is your beliefs. And by the way, this is the problem with the other party, by the way, is they are trying to teach people to have beliefs that are a bankrupt set of beliefs when it comes to succeeding in life. About not being self-empowered. The fundamental belief that you need to have to achieve and live any life that is meaningful is that you create your own way. It's up to you. That within you, you have the power to change your life. Do you know that? Guys, I made some really big mistakes. I made some really big mistakes in my life, but I was able to come back from all of that. How? I never lacked the belief that I had the ability. In my heart of hearts, I knew I had the ability, that it was up to me. If I wanted to quit, I could quit. But I had the belief that it was within my power to achieve whatever I wanted. No matter how many mistakes I made, I could always put one foot in front of the other, move in the direction I want to go, and get what I want in life. That was my core belief. As soon as you believe that, you need someone else. The government's going to do it for you, your parents, the system. You're done. You can't achieve anything. You have to understand it's within you. You make your own way. We don't live in a world where it's fated. Life is not fated. If you believe the world happens to you, you can tell, by the way, I could tell if someone believes I'm a creature of circumstance. People that believe the world happens to them, they do three things. Number one, they blame. They play the blame game. They blame everybody around them. They blame the government. They blame their parents. They blame where they were born. Everything. They blame everything but who? Who don't they blame? Themselves. They never look in the mirror and blame themselves. They blame. Number two, they complain. They constantly complain. And when you complain, what you're doing is you're focusing on everything that's wrong in your life. And I'll tell you this, there's a universal law that you attract what you focus on. You attract what you focus on. That's a fact. So if you're complaining and you're focusing on all the shit in your life, you become a giant shit magnet. You attract. If you complain about stuff, guess what? You make it come true. Just never forget I said this, because you'll see it happen. And you also need to be very careful. And here's the worst part. Even if you're not like that, if you surround yourself with people like that, and they're complaining all the time, they're attracting the shit to them, and it can hit you. You're like, I don't want to be near you. You're bringing all the stuff. You attract this. This is a universal truth. What you focus on, you move toward. It's a fact. And what you focus on, you attract. Now, just to be clear, there's a book out there called The Secret. Some of you anyone hear about this book? Okay, you gotta be careful with this book though, because the book will mislead you. See, the book misses one aspect. That's only half the equation. So it's like what you focus on, you attract. But it's not like you could sit in your couch, like The Secret says, and I want you to imagine a check for $50,000 showing up in your mailbox. And just put that out into the ether and attract that check, and sure enough, if you think hard enough and long enough, that check will show up in your mailbox. Really? I mean, what a nonsense. That's bullshit. The only thing that will show up in your mailbox is an eviction notice. They'll be towing away your car. Your girlfriend ran off with your boyfriend. You're like, where's my check? Where's my check? We live in a world where you have to take action. What's the word? Action. That's the other side of the equation. But the fact is, these laws, this universal truth is that we focus on what we attract. That's number two, we complain. And the third, the worst thing of all is we justify. We say things like, money doesn't matter. I don't really need to be successful. Really? Money doesn't matter? I got news for you. Guess what? Oh, so you're broke. Someone says, if money doesn't matter, then you're broke. Because if you're saying money doesn't matter, that means we don't have the things that don't matter to us. We don't get them. We don't have them in our lives. I don't have a motorcycle. Why I don't want one? If you want to, who's got a boyfriend or a girlfriend they want to get rid of? Anybody want to get out of a relationship here? Anyone who wants to get rid of their girlfriend or boyfriend? I'll show you how to do it. It's so simple. Here's how you do it. Every morning, call up your boyfriend or your girlfriend and say, you don't matter to me. Watch how long they stick around. Same thing goes with money and success. If you don't make money matter to you, and success a priority, not for the sake of greed, but because there are certain core things that you need, like food, shelter, medical care, education. It matters. So you make money and spread the wealth around and be generous. That makes sense? Yes? All right, let's move on. The third thing here is called focus, vision focus, meaning creating a vision for your future. Now, I know it might seem weird. You're young still, right? Most of a vision for my future. Most people don't know yet. That's okay. That's okay. Your vision is changing. It's malleable. It's growing every day, but you need a target to aim for. You need something to aim for because you can't hit what you can't see. You have to have something. And then learn, by the way, to focus. It's called, this competency is called vision focus, meaning to create a vision and then to focus on that. Not what you're afraid of. See, if you focus on what you don't want, you'll end up going in that direction. You have to create a vision, and by the way, as part of this vision, you have to know why it matters to you. Why does it matter to you? The last thing I'll tell you is my why. I had a really powerful why. People say, how'd you write this book? How'd you make this comeback? Because I knew my why. I'll tell you what that is last before the Q&A. Fourth thing is called standards. This is what you will not settle for less than in your life. I told you the story about the beach. I sold one cooler and made $120 in one day. Next day I went back with 4 and never sold less than 4. But Jones Beach is a massive place. Lots of room for other people. I told my friends about it. I had 5 friends who I explained, here's how you make money. You guys are working for $1.35 an hour. Guess what? Come work with me. I'll show you. You can make $100 an hour. It's crazy. I took 5 of my friends down there. Guess what happened? 4 of them would sell 1 cooler and stop. They never sold more than 1 cooler a day. They were 1 cooler guys. Only one of my friends would work as hard as me to try to max it out. Why is that? Because they didn't have the standard. I had the I wanted more. I would not settle for less. I was a 4-cooler guy. It's like a thermostat in your house. You set the thermostat to 70 degrees, right? What happens? The heat comes on, but if it gets to that, what happens? It shuts off, cools back down. So you have a thermostat for money, a thermostat for success, a thermostat for your body. What shape is your body in? I'm still in really good shape for my age, right? Why? Because it matters. I have a high thermostat for my physical body. I work out. That means I work out. I eat right. But you see people that might be rich as hell, but they're fat as hell. Why? They don't care. They just don't care about it. It's not even right or wrong. It's not right or wrong. It's what matters to you. The things that matter to us, the things that we say, we always get what we must have. We very seldom get what we should have. There's a huge difference between the two. What do you absolutely, positively must have in your life versus I would like to have that. I would, I should. The most disempowering word in the English language is should. I should have this. You're shitting all over yourself, basically, right? You're getting nowhere in life. So these 4 things, by the way, collectively wrap up into this mindset for success. Starts up here of wanting, having a desire, an intent. And then the way you make that real is you move into the outer world of success, where you have, number 1, the rules and strategies of entrepreneurship, business. In other words, if you want to be wealthy, you probably should start a business, or there are certain industries like the financial industry, like Wall Street, where you don't have to start a business to get rich. But by and large, if money is really what you want, then you're going to have your best shot, on being honest with you, of having a business that you own, or if you work for someone else, a side business that you're also making money in, and then investing that money very wisely. I'll explain that. I'm just writing a book about that you should all read when it comes out, about how to really invest your money for the long term. And it's the simplest thing to do, by the way. There's one simple investment that beats every other investment ever invented on Wall Street, because Wall Street's just a hustle, by the way. It's a hustle designed to separate you from your money. Wall Street serves an incredibly important purpose. It does. And without Wall Street, we would be lost. But that does not mean you need to let them invest your money. You don't need that. You can do it all by yourself and do far better. It's been mathematically proven. There's no doubt about it. There's one trade you can do that will allow you to really make money, especially when you're young, because the trade works best over time. 20, 30, 40 years, forget about it. It's like a printing press over time, and I'll tell you what that is in a moment. But business has rules. And if you go into business without knowing those rules, like I did, guess what happens? You're going to get your head handed to you. You're going to feel pain. Now, when I was very young, you couldn't find out those rules. There was no internet. I had no mentors. I had to make mistakes and do it the hard way. I learned from my mistakes, tried again, and got it right. But now it's all laid out for you on a silver platter. You can go to my stuff, which is all free. You don't ever have to give me a penny to learn everything you need to know about business. Very simple stuff, guys. So before you go into business, before you do anything, learn the rules of the game. There's two sides to it. One side, you need to learn how to what's called fail elegantly. How do you fail elegantly at something? Meaning, when you go into business, you're going to be wrong more often than you're right. You're going to be wrong more than you're right. So you have to learn how to fail quickly, fail cheaply, and then take the lessons from the failures, because the lessons are in the failures. Take that, try again until you succeed. You do that enough times, you will succeed. On the other side is called succeeding wildly. What do you do when you start a small business and it starts to work and you start to make money? How do you scale that? How do you grow that? How do you take it to the next level? There's rules for that too. All of this is out. All this is learnable. There's no secrets anymore. It's all the information is ripe for the plucking for every one of you. It's all out there. That's the first thing. Second thing is what's called marketing. How do you find out who your best buyers are? Who are the people that you could sell your things to, your ideas? It could be a tangible item. It could be an intangible idea. You need to learn how to market your products, goods, and services. Third is the thing I'm most known for around the world, which is sales, closing the deal. You need to learn how to close the deal. The single most important skill in creating wealth and success is closing the deal. Without that one skill, very difficult to get ahead. And again, all this stuff is learnable skills, ripe for the taking, for anyone that wants to be rich. And lastly, the last part is called multiple streams of income. What do you do with your money that you make? When you're earning money, how do you take that money and put it to work for you? Buying real estate, investing in stocks the right way, or even crypto, whatever that turns you on. There's ways, there's strategies for this to invest wisely, to put your money to work for you. Here's the deal, very quickly. If you possess all 8 of these skills at a very high level, you can't help but get rich. Think about it. I'll tell you, imagine a girl. I'm going to tell you this girl right here, right? Imagine her. She's an expert at managing her emotional state. She's got empowering beliefs about making money and success. She's got a strong vision, a robust vision for the future, and she knows why it matters to her. She knows why, so she's going to act on that. She's got the highest of standards. She will not settle for anything less than excellence. She knows the rules of business. She knows how to market herself. She can close the deal, and she knows how to put her money to work making more. How can that person not end up rich? It's impossible. That person will end up rich every time. Every time. Will they have down times? Yes, of course. Does it happen overnight? No. Sometimes you get lucky, but it has to end up with success because you're following the rules of success. Now, let's look at the opposite. Imagine a guy who's an emotional basket case, always feeling negative. They think the world happens to them. We call that what, Democrats? No, I'm just kidding, right? They have no vision for the future other than the government will hand them money each month. They have low standards. They'll settle for anything. They don't know the first thing about starting a business. They think marketing means going to buy a head of lettuce. They can't sell their way out of a paper bag. and they don't know what to do with their money if they even had any. What do you call that person? I call that a poor person. Every time. Understand, getting rich is not difficult. But what people miss is that there's things you have to learn to get rich. It's not like, oh, here's a business in a box. It's not the way life works. There's root skills that you need to develop. And a lot of these you can develop along the way. You don't have to wait, oh, I can't try now. No, you could already start your business and try and launch things and learn along the way. But just remember, if you lack these things or any one of them, it's going to hold you back. That's on you because they're all learnable. Before I go to Q&A here, because I want to do a lot of Q&A with you, right? I want to just tell you my why, because it's a good one. Like, why? Why does success matter to you? People always ask me, I've been interviewed 1 million times, right? Journalists will say, how did you write this book? How did you go to jail, you lose I lost everything, guys. I was one of the richest people under 30 in the country. And in one day, I lost everything. My money, my freedom, my wife ran out the door. Okay, seriously, my kids were gone for a time, lost everything. I go to jail. Who's my bunkmate? You'll never believe. Tommy Chong from Cheech and Chong is my bunkmate. Long story short, he convinced me to write a book. But I got to tell you, it's when you're in jail, it's tough. When you're in jail, you're with the losers of life. It's losers. People have lost the game of life. They're in jail. You have no rights, freedoms, power, money, nothing. People say, how did you go to jail and you ended up writing this book? You emerged 10 times stronger from the experience. How did you not let that get the best of you? How? And I'll tell you the answer because it's true. Jail sucks. Now, admittedly, I wasn't in the worst jail. I wasn't worried about going into the shower and dropping a bar or something. It wasn't that type of jail. Okay, it wasn't that bad. But jail sucks. Embarrassing, lost everything. People say, how'd you do it? I'll tell you how. Because in those moments when I felt like I couldn't go on, and there were many, typically at nighttime when you're in your bed alone with your thoughts, and you can think about and ruminate every mistake you made, everything you did wrong, and there was so many nights I felt like I couldn't go on. And what I would do is I would close my eyes and I would imagine the faces of my 2 children. That was my why, guys. I had let my kids down so badly, and I was determined to come back for them, to show them that their dad could do it right, that their dad was a good man. That was everything. It was everything to me. That was it. And that, well, just remember this, just because this is your own secret to success, your own power. You will always do more. Remember this. You'll always do more for someone you love unconditionally than you'll do for yourself. You'll always do more for a cause you truly believe in than you'll do for yourself. And that cuts both ways, good and bad. People strap bombs to themselves and they believe in crazy things, right? But for me, it was the love of my children that I said, I must prove to my children. I need to come back to be a role model and a father and a positive influence in their life. Never did I imagine in that moment it would amount to this, where I go around the world and speak to kids and adults all over. I never could have imagined that. That wasn't my why. My vision was much smaller. It started out with writing a book, redeeming myself and my children so I could be a role model to them. And then my vision kept growing and changing and growing. And before I knew it, my vision was I'm going to go around the world and change the world. And that became my vision. So, guys, it starts off always understanding what is your why. What matters most to you? There's a really funny scene in the movie, right, where I give this speech and I say, and I throw the Rolex watch, right? It was a wild place. It was freaking insane, that brokerage firm. Insane. It was also the most fun place in the world. I'll admit that too. Got to be honest with you, right? But I said to them, guys, I said, if you think I'm greedy, I said, then get the F out of here. But before you leave this room, Take a good look around you at the person sitting to your right and left, because one day in the not-so-distant future, you're going to pull up to a red light. Remember that scene from the movie? And you're going to see a beautiful Porsche. You'll be in a beat-up piece of shit car, right? And what I was doing was I was trying to get these guys to their deepest fear. What was their deepest fear? Was to live a life of poverty and no success. And I was know it. See, it's different for everybody. You need to know what is your deepest fears. Use those to empower yourself. And what do you want most? What is your why? And use that to propel you for greatness. I promise you, if you do that and you follow this formula, maybe one day you'll be as lucky as me. And when someone's going to play you in a movie, it'll be Leonardo DiCaprio, because that was pretty damn cool, right? So, guys, thank you. I love you. Let's do some Q&A. All right? Who wants to start first? Which side? Here? Right here? Let's go.
Hi, my name is Ivan. It's not a question, but can I take a picture with you?
Yeah, separate question. Yeah, afterwards, because everyone's here. We got to work it out. That's in a way we can do it.
You speak
You have a
Spanish?
question.
You speak Spanish?
Yeah, hablo español, pero si quieres una foto, necesita esperar hasta final.
Okay,
next person.
Yeah.
Go.
In 1956, President Dwight D. Eisenhower made the inscription, "In God We Trust," the national motto, and placed it on all U.S. currency made after 1956. Now that cryptocurrency is making a huge impact in today's worldly economy, how do we place the inscription, "In God We Trust," on all cryptocurrency originally made in the United States? In the Bible, Hebrews chapter 13, verse 8 says, "Jesus Christ is the same yesterday, today, and forever." How do we effectively and openly involve God back into politics in 2022 as much as God was involved back in 1956? He's the same God. He's never changed.
All right. So, number one, in terms of crypto, right, I think you're overemphasizing the importance in the economy as it stands today. Right now, it plays a very minor, if inconsequential role in the U.S. economy right now. I believe that will change over time, but right now it's inconsequential. But like everything else, God is, where is God? In your what? It's in your heart. It's all virtual, so it's up to you. The person that owns the crypto, it's got to be a self, something that you have to believe yourself, because you can't. I think one thing that's America is, and I believe, I think your views have value. I believe in many of the things you believe in. But one thing we can't do is force other people to believe the things that we believe in. So you have to have tolerance for other people that don't quite feel that way. And so I think with crypto, it's very easy. When you have your crypto, you can have God stamped on that. And other people, they can think what they want, right? So some people, God is nature, right? So that's a personal decision. As far as in politics, listen, I think you're right. I think that there's a huge problem. I really do. I think that there's something very, very evil and something very insidious that's going on. It's going on for far longer than you probably realize, where there is this sort of, I don't want to get into conspiracy stuff because it's not healthy, okay? Because it's passing the buck. But I think that there is certainly a movement to try to, it's not just taking God out of society. It's trying to make people feel dependent on the government. When I think that, it's up to people in this room. You're the next generation, right? And it's not to fall sway to pressure from people. There's a lot of pressure out there for people your age to be thinking very differently than most of you think. Never forget that. I fully believe that you guys are the ones that are holding the torch for the future. So stay strong and don't get sucked into that crazy. There's some crazy beliefs out there right now that are disempowering, that are not going to lead this country in the right direction. It's up to you to protect that. All right? Thanks. Next question. Let's go this side now.
Yeah, my name's Rania, and I want to say I literally watch you all the time, like huge fan.
Thank you.
Along with that, I wanted to ask, what are your biggest, I guess, tips? I'm gonna start my own LLC soon, and I'm gonna focus on house flipping, AC marketing. So I'm getting in contracts with friends and stuff, and I know that can be sticky. So I just wanted to ask, what's your take and your advice?
Number one, I think that's a great idea. I think real estate is a phenomenal investment. I really do. I think it's as long as you don't over leverage and you're responsible with it, massive wealth has been created in real estate. It's never going to stop. I think it's a very good thing to do. One of the things I want to talk about here is what to do with the money once you make it. And I want you to be very clear. There's one particular vehicle in the United States which is really just by far the best way to invest your money. So everyone write this down. Everyone write this down, all right? Never forget that I said this. You could research this after you leave here, and you'll see every expert agrees with me. It's the worst kept secret on Wall Street. And that is, by far the best way to invest your money is simply to place it into what's called a no-load Vanguard S&P 500 fund. Write this down. A no-load fund, a mutual fund, no-load, S&P, Standard & Poor's 500, okay? And you put your money in there, you reinvest the dividends, because you get paid each quarter a little bit of money on that, and never sell it. Just keep adding a little bit each quarter. Anytime you can throw a few dollars in, you would be absolutely shocked at how much money this will create for you over a period of 25, 30, and 40 years. You will be shocked. I am so sorry that no one told me this when I was your age, because I'd have like $1 billion in it by now. It's the best trade ever. The best investment ever. Warren Buffett will tell you, everyone. It's called the S&P 500 in a no-load fund, and you don't sell it. The market goes up, don't even worry about that. You just keep holding it. Now, that being said, you can make a lot more by earning money in a business like house flipping. Or don't even look at it like flipping, though, as investing in real estate. Don't get caught up in flipping like it has to be flipping. Sometimes you might not want to flip. You might want to hold because it just makes sense to hold and let it appreciate. Start thinking more long-term. The biggest mistake I've made my whole life, since I'm old enough to really make money, is thinking too short-term. Good things take time. Seriously. You have to learn this as a kid. I know, I was the freaking worst at it. It's called delaying your gratification. It's something that we all as kids love. I wanted everything tomorrow or yesterday. Typically, that will be very self-defeating when it comes to money. Just learn to delay a little bit, and I promise you it gets easier, and you'll have more money than you could imagine, okay? Thank you. I'm going to sign it. Yeah, I can sign it, yeah. Next question over here.
Big fan, by the way. I have two quick questions. My first is, do you think you could teach like entrepreneurship? What do you think about the entrepreneurship programs at schools? 100%.
So entrepreneurship is the most learnable skill out there. It's so learnable. It's like literally it's a codified set of things that you need to learn. It's not even difficult. But there are some people that have more of an entrepreneurial tendency. Like their beliefs are naturally such. They're more risk-taking. They're not risk-averse. They think that way. But there's a very big difference between having a natural tendency and then honing that to perfection. I don't care who you are. Anybody in this room can learn every skill required to become as wealthy as you want. You can. That's not bullshit. That's the truth. It is. It's the truth. I wouldn't say that. Say any one of you can become a professional tennis player. That's a 1 in a million thing. Any one of you can become a professional basketball player, like me. Not going to work too well, right? We have certain God-given gifts. We do. And I'm never going to be Roger Federer, but I can get good enough to beat most people. The beautiful thing with money and success is not like that. It's the great equalizer business. You can accomplish anything you want. Anything, seriously, in the United States. It's the greatest country in the world. Don't ever forget that. It is.
My last question would be, what do you think about, I know it's pretty controversial right now, but what do you think about Andrew Tate?
Here's the problem with Andrew. I agree with a lot of things he says, and I don't think anyone should be censored. Okay, I believe in freedom of speech. I think it's wrong to censor him. I think one thing that he could probably do better is realize that a lot of people he listens are very young and they're impressionable. Most of you are a bit older by now. You're at the age right now where you can kind of, I think you're all at the age you know good from bad, right from wrong. You're not going to listen to Andrew Tate and do something stupid. If you do, that's probably your parents' fault and not Andrew Tate's fault, and maybe your own fault most of all, okay? But I think, listen, of course he could be more careful, but I don't believe people should ever be censored. I don't live in that. That's not where I live. So I think it's wrong what happened to him, but I think he obviously said some things. And I don't think it's like, the reason I think that any punitive things that could have happened to him is not because he's offending people. That's his right. You don't like what he says? Don't listen. Tune out. But he should just be more careful because there's a lot of young kids as well. So just a little responsibility. Question.
Oh, sorry. Oh, wait, don't take the microphone. I knew that. All right, so I was wondering about, you definitely deal in the business world. I'm going into the engineering world. Do you have any advice for anyone who wants to innovate and design inventions to help better the world?
Sure.
Also, can I get a picture with you after you're done with the Q&A?
So let's start with the question itself, right? So the answer is yes. One of the greatest things Warren Buffett has ever said to a crowd of college kids, which was so true. I remember the first time I heard that, I couldn't believe he was saying, because I always knew that to be true, but hearing him say it was like, wow, it really confirmed my own beliefs. That is, that there's one skill that you can learn in your life that will make you more valuable and better at anything you do. It's learning the skill of influence and persuasion. How to sell your ideas, your thoughts. You could be the greatest engineer in the world with the most brilliant design and innovative ideas and thoughts, but if you can't convince someone else to buy into those ideas or even listen to you, good luck trying to be successful. So no matter what you do, learn how to communicate. Make sure that you hone your communication skills, that you learn how to express your hopes, your ideas, so people want to listen. Without that, it's very difficult to succeed, okay? And as far as pictures, we'll have to deal with that separately. Next question, over here.
I just want to say I love your YouTube channel.
Thank you.
It's great. There's a lot of people who don't think that you're a great person to be associated with.
Right.
How do you think about that or say to that, or how do you overcome that personally?
I want to know their names. No. Listen, here's the thing. I think anyone that says that obviously has just never listened to the things that I teach and say, right? So I think I think I'm very sad for those people that say that, because frankly, in my own opinion, this is my opinion, who better to listen to than someone that's actually made mistakes and learned from those mistakes and has come back even stronger and is doing things the right way as a result of that. If I was still out there scamming and teaching, guys, I want you to go rip people off, and my message is so pure and right on and empowering that anyone that says that, I just feel really sorry for them because they're so closed-minded. So if that's how they feel about me, it's a symptom of them and how they live their lives. That means they're closed down to anybody that doesn't agree exactly with their ideas. And you know what did Jesus say? He who has not sinned, cast the first stone, right? So we all live in glass houses. I think people should not be judged by the mistakes they make, but what they do to correct those mistakes and how they live their lives going forward and their message today. That's a fundamental belief I have, not just for every one of you. Next question.
Hello. Me and my friend here, I go to A&M, he goes to UT. We're wondering, we both want to do IB, wondering how to be successful, and also how has the culture changed since your heyday up in Wall Street?
So, again, I think, listen, things are changed. Wall Street is, listen, I have mixed emotions about Wall Street, right? Wall Street, as I said before, is necessary. They do a lot of amazing things. Without Wall Street, the economy would be a disaster. In fact, one of the amazing things about the country, which makes it so opportunistic, meaning anyone can seize that opportunity, is our banking system and Wall Street. My wife is Argentinian, I just flew in from Argentina. Yes, I was there. I was in Buenos Aires. They don't have a functioning banking system there. You can't hold the peso. Their inflation rate's 100% a year and then some. You think we have corruption? Oh my God, they live in corruption. Is that you go in the government to get rich there because you could steal more. And a lot of countries are like that. So Wall Street needs to be there. The problem is that it's very easy to get sucked into the dark side of Wall Street. So just remember, if you go down, I think it's an amazing way to make money. I think it's one of the best ways if you don't have money, because here's the exception to the rule. I would say that generally speaking, the best way to make money is to be in your own business, to start your own business. The one exception to that is Wall Street. It's easier to work at a big firm and leverage off of their capital, their reputation. Eventually, you could start your own firm. You could just work at a big firm and make a lot of money and live a great life. That's the one exception. Real estate is also, that's really in business for yourself. Just be careful that you don't get sucked in the way I did. I just met the wrong people early on, like, oh, this is what everyone does. Everyone lies, cheats, robs, and steals. That's not true. There's a lot of good people on Wall Street, too. Just be careful. Remember your own moral compass. And like my mother used to say, if you get that feeling in your stomach, well, guess what? That's if you think it's wrong, it probably is. All right? Thank you. Next question over here.
Hi, Jordan. My name is Shervin. I'm from Katy, Texas, west of Houston. And thank you for sharing your story and experience, by the way. It helps, I think, a lot of people. So how do you feel that you had a movie that impacted you, like showed a very big moments in your life that only showed that Hollywood side, that one side, and then you telling us your full story of how you grew up? And there's another part to the question too. Plus, what do you think of social media as you started to get more involved into it? And because when I saw your movie, I thought it was actually like a fantasy, it was fiction. And then when I was younger, and then I found out you're like real, and then I saw like Leo's talking about how did you survive through all that,
right,
and that you did in your life. So
sure. So let me answer those questions. Number one, the good news is I'm in the process now of making a docuseries about my life, and the director is someone that you know. The director is Michael Bay. You all know Michael Bay, right? Michael's a friend of mine. He's going to be directing it. It's him and Brad Fuller, so it hasn't really been formally announced yet, but it's enough for people to know about it. So it's not a secret or anything, right? So there's a docuseries that will come out next year at some time, towards the end of next year, that will really tell the whole story. That's number one. How do I feel about the movie? Well, listen, obviously I wish they would have made a movie about me for inventing discovering the cure for cancer. It would have been great, right? But I think that the movie it's a certain version that Marty Scorsese made, that it's just an incredible movie. It's just a great, entertaining ride. And I think I think the reason why it's so great, the movie, is because he doesn't try to moralize. One thing, I don't know about you guys, I hate when I watch a movie, they try to tell me, they make it so obvious, hate him, love her. They try to tell you how to feel. I don't enjoy watching that. And I think the brilliance of what Scorsese did in the movie was he showed you that, you could love this guy and he could do terrible things. He could do great things, and that good people do bad things, bad people do, and good people do bad things. It goes both ways. So I think that's what makes the movie so special. One of the interesting things, which I think you really like, but few people know, is that the movie actually changed dramatically in the middle of it. So when I first wrote the book, it was 2007, and a screenwriter named Terry Winter, he did Boardwalk Empire, a very famous screenwriter for TV, right? He penned the script, and it was unbelievable. The first draft in 2007, and Warner Brothers greenlit the script, and it was about to get made in 2007, and the writers' strike hit in Hollywood, and they couldn't polish the script, and the window closed, and it took 6 years to get it all together again. It almost got made in 2007. Well, guess what? In 2007, the movie ended with me going to jail. That was the end. In the 6-year period, I rebuilt my life and became rich again. And when Leo called us, hey, we're ready to do it, he came back to my house. I was living in a tiny apartment when we first met, and I was back living in a mansion on the water. He's like, what happened to your life? And I showed, I go around the world and teach this. I showed him this stuff on sales. They rewrote the entire third act of the movie to make it a comeback story. So I changed my own life story as it was being made. You get that? That's the power. To me, that's like one of the things I'm most proud of. Like I actually, because I will tell you, you know how devastated I was when the writer's strike hit? I was like, oh my God, I can't believe this. I thought I was going to be famous, the movie, and then it got killed. But it forced me to build a business, make a comeback without the movie, and then when the movie came around, it made the movie 100 times better. All right? Who's next? You?
So I'll take a little time to actually use this opportunity to say thank you, because back in 2018, I was traveling. I'm a sales guy, naturally, right? So I was traveling, and you truly did save my life.
Oh, good.
Now on to the question. Years ago, I took your straight line courses, and I've been utilizing the straight line system since. It's very persuasive, and it helps everything. I often find myself even using the system in my personal life, which tends to come off a little overly persuasive, quote unquote, manipulative. Can you give me a few recommendations on how to kind of turn those skills off when in an argument with my wife, or, you know, those type of things?
I used to kid around about that, by the way, and say, be careful about using this stuff. And you know, because I did it, I'll tell you a funny story. My wife number 2, I've had 4, okay? Haven't done that well in the wife department. I got a great wife now, though, I'm telling you, right? Finally got it right. Anyway, my second wife, she's like, you know, and she always says, she bashes me online all the time now. Suddenly now she's a victim after 30 years. She's a victim, okay? Anyway, she's a liberal, so what can you say? It's not her fault, you know? It's not, you can't blame her. She's a liberal, right? Anyway, but here's what she always would say to me. She goes, you know what bothered me? Of all the reasons why I hate you and like just you just drove me crazy, what really bothered me most about you was that when we would get into an argument and I knew I was right, you were so persuasive. You're such a great salesman. You convinced me out. I'd be like, all right, and I guess you were right. And I knew I was right, and you always win every argument because you were such a great salesman. That just drove me crazy, right? So moral of the story is be careful about, you know, there's 2 types of communication. Sales is called goal-oriented communication, meaning you're in a conversation, you are trying to accomplish a certain outcome. You're trying to get someone to think a certain way, which is to buy your product, to agree with you, so to speak, that, you know, they should be buying your product now, okay? That's goal-oriented communication. Speaking to your wife is probably not, or your partner, your boyfriend, is probably not a good time to be breaking out goal-oriented communication, okay? Because it'll end up pissing them off ultimately and backfiring. So be very, very careful. Guys, I have to wrap this up. They're flashing the screen. I talk to you all day. I love you guys. Thank you, guys. You're awesome. You're the future. You're great. Thank you.